Welcome to the Empower Hour. This is our weekly broadcast that we do every Sunday to help ex Jehovah Witnesses move forward with their lives. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button right there. For those of you watching live in the Facebook group, thank you for joining in and thank you for taking some time out every Sunday to join us. Today, we're going to be talking about how to rebuild our lives after leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses. What a hard thing to do, right? To rebuild your life and to live a completely different way from the way we were told to live our lives. We'll find that what worked as a Jehovah Witness does not work in the real world. If we try to live our life from that lens that we were giving as a Jehovah Witness, it just doesn't relate. It could just feel like we're having such a tough time fitting in with everyone else. So today we're going to be talking about how to do this. How do we restructure our lives? How do we put things together again so that we can be thriving? We don't want to just survive in life. We want to thrive in life. And we're going to be talking about how to do this. Well, the first thing I would say is we need to really put a fork in the beliefs of the Jehovah's Witnesses. We need to put a fork in it. And that's tough to do, to really disregard everything we've been taught because it still resides in our minds on a subconscious level. So when you just left the religion, a lot of times there are some things that are residual hangovers from the religion. We might not fully have dismissed the beliefs. So you really need to allow yourself to go down the rabbit hole. You really need to allow yourself to really disprove it to yourself so you know it's not true. You're sure it's not true. You've convinced yourself. You don't have that hangover wondering if Armageddon, what if they're right? What if they're right about this? What if they're right about that? Let yourself to go down the rabbit hole fully. Watch all the videos, read everything, go fully down there and just stab it. Put a fork in it so that you know it's not true. You want to do this so that at the end of this process, you can really let it go. When you have convinced yourself that it's not true, you no longer have to consume yourself with information having to do with the witnesses. Once you put a fork in it, you can let it go. You don't want to be one of these people that, years later, you're still consumed with learning more about the Jehovah Witnesses. It really means that you're not over it if you are consumed with more and more information, like trying to keep up with everything that's going on in the Jehovah Witnesses. It means you still have a tie to it. And it's hard to move on with your life. I mean, once you know that it's not true, you let it go. You know, if a woman found out her man was cheating, right, and she had all the evidence that her man was cheating, if 5 years later she's still looking for evidence and going through old credit card receipts and still looking for evidence of more times that he cheated, if she's still stalking his Facebook and seeing what he's doing and who he's dating and she's still obsessed with him, she's not over it. She's not ready for another relationship. And it's the same thing here. Once you're over it, you need to be over it so that you can learn and to move on with your life. So you have the space and the capacity to learn new things instead of just filling yourself with more information of the Jehovah Witnesses, because you won't have the mental capacity to grow and to learn new things if that really is the focus of your life. So put a fork in it. And once you put a fork in it, be done with it. As you attempt to move on with your life, learn to set boundaries for your life. Don't let the people of your former life or your family members, family will always be family, but don't let them be the only ones setting boundaries. You have to have a boundary. You have to have things in your life that are non-negotiable boundaries. You have to have conversations that are off-limit topics. Just like they set boundaries, you also must set boundaries. It's not a one-way street. Life is reciprocity. Relationships are reciprocity. So if people can't be reciprocal and play by the same rules, if there's not a two-way street, you can't play the game, right? So have boundaries for your life. so that you don't get triggered over and over and over again. I definitely have boundaries. I got a lot of boundaries. My whole family knows not to say the truth around me. It's hard for them because that's just a slang in their world, but don't say the truth around me. I'll correct you every single time. I don't tell you what I believe is the truth. So don't tell me what you believe is the truth. The religion, the organization, my personal beliefs, all that stuff's okay. But don't use the word the truth around me. That's a boundary of mine. I will correct you every single time. Because in your saying the truth, you're saying I'm not in truth. And that does a job on your mind. So that's one simple boundary of mine. Everyone knows of my family. If you're dealing with Rodney, don't say the truth. Mm-mm. That's your belief. That's your truth. Don't talk to me as if that's the truth. That's your truth. I make that distinction. And by having a boundary like that, in a funny way, it really gets you a kind of respect. They move differently around you when you have boundaries. So definitely know what's a boundary of yours. They're off limit topics I won't discuss about my personal life. Don't ask that question. It's none of your business. I don't ask you those questions. It's none of your business, right? I have a lot of boundaries to my life and they respect me. They respect me. They're not used to somebody standing up and having boundaries. They're used to setting them. They're not used to them being set on them. Have boundaries. Decide for yourself that this is a new season of life. This will help you as you try to move forward. Decide that this is a new season. And I'm drawing a line right here. There's a line. This is what I was. This is what I'm becoming. This is what I will be. Draw a line so you don't carry that with you. For a lot of ex witnesses, even though they leave the religion still occupies the same amount of space in their life because instead of being in the religion, they're always fighting it. It still occupies the same amount of space for a lot of people. Decide this is a new season. Who are you in this season? When you decide this is a new season, you don't have to lament or regret the previous season. I'm okay with the years I was a witness. I was in a different season. I looked at life differently. I lived by different rules. I had different friends. I did different things. And I'm okay with it. I actually relish some of the memories, but I'm no longer there. I'm in a different season. I'm able to wash my hands of it, draw the line, and this is a new season. I don't even identify with the term XJW. I use it for stuff like this so people can find the information, right, or find us. But for myself personally, I never call myself an ex Jehovah Witness. I'm just who I am today. I don't want to be defined by something of my past. When you get divorced, you don't call yourself so and so's ex husband or ex wife for the rest of your life. You don't do that. You move on. That was just part of your life you wash your hands of, and it's a new season. You're defined differently. So decide that this is a new season of life, and I would be defined by the things I decide to be defined by, not by my past, not by a religion that I'm no longer a part of. You don't define yourself by your old high school either, right? So why define yourself by your old religion? And as you move on in life, get curious about life. Open your mind up. Witnesses are very, very narrow in the way they think. Witnesses are always trying to validate their beliefs or they're looking for ways that will really prove that they're right. No, open your mind up. Get curious about life. And when you get curious about life, you allow yourself to explore things. And when you explore things, you know why you believe what you believe, not because a religion told you something. You know why you believe what you believe. You know, when I first left the witnesses, I went to all kinds of churches just to see, not to convince myself one way or another of anything. I wanted to see what resonated. I wanted to see what was right about different things. So I explored all kinds of things that would seem to be contradictory. I just allowed myself to just sit and observe. And I got to see how different it was. And I got to see a lot of things witnesses told me was wrong. I got to open my eyes up. I remember the first time I went to one of the first times I went to a church. I went to a Christian church, and some of the young guys came up to me and go, "Hey, Rodney, what are you doing? What are you doing next Saturday?" I don't know, no plans. You want to play ball with us? It was some of the young guys in the church there. You want to play ball with us? Where are you playing ball at? And they told me the housing complex they were playing ball at. And it was scary. It's the worst housing complex where I live. It was the worst of the worst. I said, man, why are you guys playing ball there, man? Can we find a gym? They go, brother, you don't understand. We're going to play ball there and play with the kids, and maybe we can minister to the kids and get them to church. I was like, wow, that is a concept. When I was a witness, we didn't let the worldly kids play with us. We played every Sunday at the park, and if you wasn't a witness, you couldn't play. Yet we go knock on their doors on Saturday trying to convince them to believe what we believe. I said, wow, that is so cool. See, I would have never seen that as a witness. There was another time we were having a barbecue in a park outside this other complex, and I was wondering why they had so many grills. They had a lot of food, and the pastor said, "Hey, some of you young guys, go knock on every single door and invite everybody to come make a plate." Wow, we never did that as witnesses. I was told all these things about these other churches, and the people just came. They made a plate. They didn't preach to anybody. They just said, we're gonna have some buses out here tomorrow morning to take the people that want to go to church. They took 4 busloads of people the next day. I said, what a noble idea. But then I allowed myself to go to other things. I went to Buddhist temples and all kinds of stuff just to observe and see what resonated with me. Just different philosophies, and I allowed myself to take it in. And in different areas of life, I allowed myself to explore and see what I thought. And when I let go of the witness stuff, it really just allowed my mind the capacity to see for myself what was out there. And it was a great experience. And over time, I began to know what resonated with me, and led me to where I'm at today. Um, Again, I'll keep that to myself. Everybody has to go on their own exploration to see what resonates with them. But that was my journey, and it was only possible by letting go of the whole witness thing. Another thing that will help you in your journey is to go within. You will find that your answers are within yourself. So many times we're asking other people, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And that's part of your programming, because as witnesses, you weren't allowed to think anything for yourself. You had to ask the elders, and we get programmed like that. We get programmed to always ask somebody else. Your answers are within, and your answers may be different than the person next to you. So don't just keep bouncing off of other people. Go within. Learn to listen to that voice within you to understand what resonates. One of the mistakes a lot of ex-witnesses make is they have this programming from the witnesses, and you'll hear this from witnesses a lot. When you leave the witnesses, they'll go, well, if this isn't the truth, then what is? It might have some mistakes, but what's the closest thing to the truth? You don't know what truth is. You go on a journey. There is growth. There is no truth. There's growth. Truth doesn't change. Truth does not change. There is no such thing as the truth. There's just growth. You grow closer to what resonates with you. Now, people will believe they have the truth. I mean, you can't argue with people that believe what they believe. But in life, you will find that in time, they even discover things that make you question history. In the 40s, they found the some scrolls and some texts that changes history. The Sumerian text, and things like that is like, wow, what really went on in history that changes how you view the present. We're all free to change our minds as we grow. We can have an understanding today that resonates with us, and a year or two from now, we might think differently. Allow yourself to change your mind, but go within and see what resonates with you. Just allow that growth process and be okay with what that inner voice tells you. As you grow in life, watch what you focus on. If you keep focusing on what's wrong in your life, you will find more things that's wrong. That's the way the mind works. The mind will focus on what you focus on. It will find more evidence of what you focus on. So if your attention is on what's wrong, you will continually find more things that's wrong. If you focus on gratitude and what's right, your mind will look for more evidence of what's right. So even though a lot of you are going through a tough time right now, there's so much to be grateful for. So much. Focus on those things. Focus on your blessings. Every day, just think of how blessed you are, even if you're going through a tough time. So much is going right in your life. If you're healthy, oh, what a blessing. If the people you care about are healthy, what a blessing. If your kids are healthy, what a blessing. If you're employed, what a blessing. There's so much to be grateful for. So when you're going through a difficult season of life, it's even more crucial to be in a state of gratitude, to purposely focus on where your blessings are. And as you go through this season, remember to be patient with yourself. Transition takes time. You're not going to immediately feel good about life all the time. You're not going to immediately have all your answers. You're not going to not feel the sense of loss. You got to be patient. Transition takes time. You've got to learn to be patient, because when you have these quick fixes, and this is why a lot of people get stuck in addiction and alcohol, because you're trying to numb yourself. You're looking for a quick fix. It takes time. You've got to be okay with that. When you look back, you'll find those are some of the greatest times in your life, when you were actually in this process of learning and growing, expanding. A caterpillar doesn't immediately turn into a butterfly. So you've got to be patient with that period of growth, that period of being uncomfortable. Being in that cocoon is uncomfortable. You can't rush the process. If you peel that cocoon open too early, that butterfly won't ever develop, won't live. Go through your process. But part of your process is knowing when to let things go of your past so you can be present. You know, the reason why some people get stuck in this loop, in this cycle in life, is they keep replaying, they keep focused on the things of the past, and they bring the emotions and the thoughts of the past to the present. Your future is based on your present. What you're presently doing will create your future. So if you are focused on the emotions, the feelings, the thoughts of the past in the present, then you will create that same reality in your future. So you'll feel like you're stuck in a loop. And that's where most ex-witnesses get stuck. They're so stuck in the feelings of the past, of the emotions of the past, they bring it into the present, which creates the future of the same thing. And that's what frustrates people. So learn to get past that. Be patient. Also, learn to not force things on yourself. So many ex-witnesses want to force things. Okay, how do you be worldly? I'm worldly now. How do you be worldly? I'm trying to figure out how to be worldly. Oh my God, Halloween's coming up. I feel bad about it. I mean, it bothers my conscience still, but I'm going to force myself to get dressed up for Halloween. Listen, if something feels bad, honor it. Don't force yourself to do things you don't want to do. When it doesn't bother you, you can do it. You don't have to force yourself. Listen, and you don't have to necessarily make it even about the witnesses. It's just not a tradition that you maybe celebrate. Like, I just had my birthday. I had a nice birthday. I celebrate my birthday when other people want to celebrate it. If nothing happens on my birthday, it doesn't bother me. You watch people who always celebrated their birthday. If they're not acknowledged on their birthday, they have a meltdown. Like most people, it's such a tradition that it bothers them if they don't do something special. For me, I could take it or leave it. It doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me if I do it. Doesn't bother me if I don't do it, because it's not a tradition that I had growing up. It's not a tradition I have most of my life. So I'm okay either way. I've never had a Christmas tree. I'm not saying don't get one if it doesn't bother you. You love it. You got little kids. Go for it. Like, I never had a Christmas tree. I don't really celebrate Christmas. I don't buy gifts. I don't do any of that stuff because I just never did. It doesn't bother me. It's just not a tradition I've done. I will go to a great Christmas party and no problem going to a Christmas party, right? But I don't try to force myself to do things that aren't natural to me. And because I wasn't raised around these things, I can take it or leave it. It doesn't bother me, but I don't force myself to try to be worldly. I just I just roll with the flow. And I think it's great advice for you to not force yourself to do things that don't come natural to you. So be okay with yourself. Whatever created who you are today is okay. You don't got to fit in with everything everybody else does. You don't got to feel like a misfit. I know a lot of people that never were witnesses that don't do a lot of those things. I know people that don't do Christmas because they think it's overly commercialized. They don't want to participate. I know people like that. I know people for their own reasons that don't celebrate a lot of holidays for their own reasons. Okay, so don't feel like you got to force things on yourself. Learn to accept the things in life you can't change. There are things in life you cannot change. And one of those things is other people. Accept what you can change. If you can't address something in your life, go ahead and address it. But accept the things you can't change. And some things you can't change are painful things. When people are shunning you or people treating you badly and not acknowledging you, it's painful. We all go through it. But accept what you can't change and understand that that may change in time. And you give things a better chance of changing if you become the best version of yourself. Become an undeniable person. Just live a life that, my God, why is he thriving so much? He left Jehovah. Look at his life or look at her life. Why are they thriving? You see, when they get doubt or something throws their world off a little bit, look at you shining over there. Look at you moving on with your life. What are you doing right? You know how many times witnesses come to somebody who left the religion who's thriving because they need a favor? Not many people have come to me needing a favor, maybe a family member needing a favor, and I'm the one that's supposed to be, I'm the one that's supposed to be lost his way. Why are you coming to me? One of my brothers, and I love my brother, but he was nearing retirement age, and again, the new order is going to fix everything, but he didn't have an answer. He was worried about his money. Who's he come to for some advice? Hey, Rodney, listen, hey man, if you get any hookups on a good business idea, something I can get involved in, let me know. But don't forget about me. Why are you coming to me? You got all your witness friends, but you coming to your worldly brother, right? Because I'm the one who appears to be thriving to him. So focus on you. Accept the things you can't control. You'll watch that flip a lot of times once you start thriving. You see, you can't deny a shining light. Darkness cannot affect light. Light affects darkness. I'm gonna say that again. Darkness cannot put out light. Light puts out darkness. So be a light. Be a light to everyone who knows you. Understand the power of thought. Religions like the witnesses like to siphon off your thought. They understand the power of this energy, your thought. Your thought is power. Your imagination is power. So they dumb down your imagination and all your thoughts go toward the organization, all your action, all your energy. That's what makes the entity powerful. The organization becomes powerful because you have millions of people sending their energy, their thought, all of it to the organization. Makes them powerful. Understand the power of your thought. Understand that your mind can create what you can convince yourself to believe. What you can convince yourself to believe, you will enact the power in your mind to find the people, opportunity, and circumstances to bring it to pass. So understand the power of your mind. That's why you don't want to waste your thought on all the witness stuff. Waste your energy on all the witness stuff. Focus your energy on what you want, where you want to go. Focus your energy on where you feel like you add value to other people. Understand the power of your thoughts, of your words. Powerful stuff. Lose the need for outside validation. You see, a dream that was given to you wasn't meant for other people to understand. It was given to you. A sense of purpose within you was given to you, was not given to others. And they cannot validate something that is not within themselves. So lose the need for outside validation. People who create great things in the world have doubters all around them. Those who have achieved will tell you you can. Those who have not will tell you you can't. Has nothing to do with you. Has everything to do with what they feel about themselves. Lots of people miss on a lot of opportunity because they don't believe. When Jeff Bezos created Amazon, he asked 60 people for $50,000. 22 said no, 18 said yes. That $50,000 is worth $7.5 billion today. Opportunity is everywhere. It's just how you want to see it, right? So Bezos is not worried about those 22 people that said no. Learn to love yourself. Love you. When you love you, you'll make absolutely different choices for your life. You will see everything differently. You will not need outside validation. And you will live a life that's in accordance with the way you're wired, a life that is in accordance with your talents, your gifts, your desires, your inner purpose. You will be aligned. And no longer will people have the power to influence you the way they did as a witness. No longer will you live a life that's based on what people think about you. You will be okay with you. Awesome. Well, today we have a small panel. Let's bring them up. All right, let's get this conversation going. Who wants to start off? Christine?
Thank you. Happy belated birthday. I had a good laugh when you said that you celebrate if someone else wants to celebrate with you. It's good. I have, as far as like starting life, I left when I was 13. So I was quite young. Thankfully, my mom said that I didn't need to go back to the Kingdom Hall. And so my starting over really was in high school. I switched from the public school. I wasn't getting good grades. I was failing 3 out of 4 classes. So I moved to the Catholic school, which was interesting with our background because I was nervous at first, but they had a world religion course. That's what I was taking instead of Catholicism. So I thought, okay, well, I'll learn about other religions. And so my journey really just started young as a teenager and figuring out what do I believe, what feels good to me and what's real. And then, yeah, just moving through life with, I feel, more of an open mind. From that world religion class, I saw a thread of truth in all the religions that we were studying about, and that there wasn't just the one way. And so that's, a little bit about my story from leaving the Kingdom Hall and Jehovah's Witnesses. And I really like what you said. Like, I don't speak of myself as an ex Jehovah's Witness. It was a part of my childhood for sure, but I don't own that story. So I think that helps with moving forward as well.
Yeah, so as a part of your journey, it's not something you deny, right? I mean, obviously you're here, you don't deny it, right? But it doesn't define you, you know.
Yeah.
And when people define themselves by something so limited, then your opportunities are limited. You're limited by that story of what can be because you're still defined by it. So very good. Thank you for that share. What I also appreciated is how your mind was opened up. So one reason why witnesses don't encourage higher education because you will be exposed to things that open up your mind and make you question. And that part where I said go out there and explore, it will change the way you see everything. You will find that your mind has been highly manipulated to just focus in this small little stream of information, and your belief system is really, really altered and kind of dumbed down. So thank you for that. Next, Gary.
Yeah, when you talk about rebuilding our lives after the JWs, it could it's not just the spiritual, emotional. That's the main thing we think of, but there might be some rebuilding economically, maybe job wise, maybe we don't have a place to live. So there's a lot of things that could be involved, and you can't really tackle it all at once. And that's basically what happened to me. I lost really everything, literally. I mean, well, that's not true. I had a car, but I had no place to live, no bank account, no retirement accounts, no job, no income. I mean, all my friends were gone. It was pretty much overnight. So where do you start? Well, I just kind of learned how to tackle things one at a time, but I couldn't possibly worry about are the Jehovah's Witnesses right or wrong. I had no time to study, go into the bound volumes, or pick up Crisis of Conscience. That was just my journey. Somebody else is going to be different, but I'm just telling you all that because I know that the biggest mistake I made by far, nothing comes close to it, was what you were talking about before when you mentioned validation. I realized one of the first things I realized is that the brotherhood is a joke. There is no such thing as a brotherhood. So all it is a bunch of conditional love, So it fell apart, and I didn't go to the meetings. Well, I did, but not to my meetings anymore. But at the same time, I wanted to clear my name. It was just really important to me that people understand that I'm pretty much the same person. I didn't do what this story about me that you probably heard indicates that I did, which might have been any number of permutations of the story anyway. I don't even know what people were saying. So it was really important to me to clear that up to the extent that I could, so that I could get back at least my core of friends. And it's just, we're concerned about our reputation in general. That's a pretty normal thing to be concerned about. But it took, I think what made that a big mistake was, number one, I wasted so much time on that. I don't mean just the amount of time I spent, typing emails or whatever, or just thinking about it. I mean, just time in terms of I didn't really begin healing yet. It took me a really long time to get to the point where I could really look at things and say, okay, what do I have to unlearn? And where am I psychologically and emotionally? So it's validation and concern over our own reputations, which, like I said, is a natural thing. But that validation, you will never. I mean, I'm just going to repeat what Rodney says all the time, I guess. But you'll never, ever, ever get real validation from the JWs. It's just not going to happen. Until you do things their way, they're not. They're just going to not. They're just going to invalidate you. So I think that, to me anyway, was, I'll just say that it's very important. For me, it was the most important thing. But I think to anybody, it's got to be very important, high on your list, to not worry about what they think about you and not look for validation, not play their game, go into the meetings so that you can at least maybe talk to somebody. You just have to, at some point, decide, I'm done with this. What's the point in maintaining a tie to an organization that I know doesn't have the truth? Even if you don't know that it doesn't have the truth yet, because I didn't really know that for a couple of years. But I just knew that I don't need these people to tell me who I am.
Yeah, you'll never get the validation from their world. They look at things in a twisted way. They use partial information to make their judgments. I mean, it never. Like, I'll give an example. As a motivational speaker, I've spoken to groups of people who are homeless. I've spoken at countless high schools, youth detention centers, people coming out of prisons, people in the real world really admire some of the things that I've done. I've had people come up to me and go, your mother and father must be so proud of who you are. I just smile because no, not at all. In that world, I'm kind of an evil person, right? I work with ex-witnesses. Now, all I do is try to help people. People will notice that those of you who have watched me over the years, I don't even really bash witnesses. I just try to help people move on in life. But in their world, their concept, I work with ex-witnesses, I'm evil. I am Mr. Apostate number one. Like, I am not seen in a good light by anybody in that religion. You Google my name, some of this stuff comes up, right? but I can't help that. With people who have a honest concept of the world, they can appreciate lots of the things that I've done. Witnesses, no, means nothing to them. And trying to convince them, no, I'm a really good guy. I just want to help people move on with their lives. And I really want to help people become the best that they can be. And it means nothing to them. So I just have to invalidate it. It's just, they're never going to get it. You live in that world. You live in this world, this tiny little world. I live in this one. This will never understand that. So what they do in their tiny little world is they put little labels on anything they don't understand so they can dismiss it. That's why witnesses love labels, because they put a label on you, they dismiss it. If you ask them something that they can't answer, you've been reading apostate. No, you just can't answer it. So I got to call you an apostate so I can stop talking to you. They got little labels for everything so they can dismiss you. So it's a silly little world. Who cares? Silly little, small, tiny little world. There's a big world out there for you. Live in that one. Go ahead, Janelle.
Yes, I do appreciate the point that you brought out about not forcing. That was something I had to learn. Usually, how I've always operated all in my life is when I focus on something, I like to give it my all. So when I've given my all and they say it doesn't work out, I'm at peace. I did all that I could. If it works out, then you know what? It was worth all my effort. So when it came to the witnesses, I really did give it my all. And I feel like it helps me to move on. I'm not living a life of I could have, I should have, I would have. I can just let all that go. So given that I gave my all regarding the witnesses, I like to, or anything, I just like to look at things for what it is and find a way to move on. I'm very sensitive about that. So in the process of me moving on, I thought, okay, I get it intellectually that the religion is not what it's summing up to be, but I'm not resonating with that. So I need to, read some information or what have you for me to resonate with it, to move on. It makes sense. So I even took a week off from work so I could read Crisis of the Conscience and, just see what else it will lead me to. And so I took that week off, my first day. I started reading Crisis of the Conscience, and I realized I had to listen to my body. It would just affect me so much. I felt like I was probably going to get a stroke. I had my body go through some sort of a shock, So I had to just, close that book down and just figure out a way to move on. And when I tried to move on, I just felt like my migraines was getting worse. I broke out in a rash. When I first found out going the issues of the organization, and I was just scratching like a mangy dog, And then I realized with listening to my body, my intuition, it would just tell me just to sit in it and grieve. Do that first. Learn to, let it go as much as I could. And it took definitely well over a year, to do that. But I had to incorporate a lot of patience to not move on. And I had to acknowledge that grieving is a process of moving on. So that was a way of moving on I never experienced before. And, along with that, when you just pay attention to your own, or respect your own journey, listen to your body, listen to your intuition, have a less of a need for, outside validation. And I remember part of that process of moving on, this was kind of early on after I left, a few months after I left, and something kept telling me and I wasn't going to the meetings. I stopped going. I couldn't even go if I wanted to. But something told me to go to the assembly. I don't know why. I was like, intellectual, this does not make any sense. I don't believe those jokers. Why? This is not making any sense. And I was trying not to go, but I was just like discombobulated for the day. And I was thinking, oh, Janelle, this is just because you fresh out, you going through withdrawals of leaving the organization. It all makes sense. So I lackadaisically went to the assembly. I made it there that afternoon, and lo and behold, I saw a friend. We were keeping in touch for a while, but I saw a friend of mine. We've known each other for about 30 years, went to middle school, and he can tell I was not right. He was like, Janelle, what's wrong? I said, dude, man, and I'm just not right. And then after that, kept in touch, helped me out significantly throughout this whole journey for over a year, or close to 2 years, rather. But had I put a post on the Facebook, hey, I'm thinking about going to the assembly. What do y'all think? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but I'm just saying, if I would have talked to somebody who has moved on, oh, why you want to do that? That doesn't make any sense, but it made complete sense for me, and it made a pivotal, difference, for me.
What was that? Was that person moving on too?
That person is no, they're not going to the meetings, but they always kind of did their own thing throughout the whole time. This person has their own family, the family or active, what have you, but this person does try to instill critical thinking with the children, and he's doing that, so he just like, look, I'm not trying, and he got generations of family, in the organization, so he just don't want no drama with it, and he's fine, with where he's at. But no, he just doing his thing. He's not committed. He don't authorize. He don't subscribe, to the authority of the organization. So, and I've always been able to talk real and just be real with him. I have that space, So that's why, it's just so important not to focus on validating others, which was what I did, with my family. And I had to make a strong gesture, with that. Because one thing for me, my core value that I've come to appreciate more and more living in life is respect and dignity. Whether you're a witness or not, it doesn't matter who you are. Respect and dignity. I'll let you in my circle. If not, you out. I don't care who or what you are. That's just, even if and I've done it with my colleagues, my bosses at high levels, I will set you straight. That's just how I operate. I do not know.
You know what I love about what you're saying, Janelle, is that's just the way of being for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a way of being where you're demanding a certain amount of respect. And when you can just be having that respect for yourself, then you're going to just move that way, regardless of who it is, right? You don't have to make it a XJW thing, or I got to do this with my JW family. No, that's just the way you move, right? So it's a kind of self-respect for yourself. And what I love about some of the things that you said, you talked about giving your all. When you were a witness, you gave your all for the organization. You were not allowed to give yourself your all. And now you can give yourself your all, which is much bigger than this little bitty bubble that you got to live in when you're a witness. Now you can give yourself your all. You can be the biggest version of Janelle, not just a watered down version that's just,
itching along, trying to this
right.
Yeah.
Created to serve an organization. And you also spoke about the violation of self. Again, this is why you were having a physical reaction, because you were in violation of self, right? So when you understand that, man, my whole life has been a lie, right? That's a violation of self. That just kind of threw your mind for a loop, and you are actually having a physical reaction to that. And also you talked about grief, and that is correct. There is a season of just flat out grief. Life as you know it is going away. And that's really tough to handle.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to go through it. It's a process. You can't tell someone to get over it. Like it's supposed to be gone tomorrow. It's like when somebody physically dies. I mean, you can't rush that. But you also can't just marinate in it and stay in it. You got to keep moving. Even you're going through the process. Going through a process means that you're moving. It means that things are moving for you. You got to move through it. But such excellent feedback. Any other shares, Christine?
Yeah, thank you so much. That was a good share, Janelle. Grief is so key because we're basically, what's dying is our ego, our old versions of ourselves, and having a support system, I think, is important. So community and purpose, like really knowing what your purpose is outside of anything else, but what drives you forward. What's interesting about your symptoms, and thanks for sharing, that's part of the work that I do. The biological connection to rash or anything skin is separation. So you're in your psyche, the psyche brain organ connection is you had resolved enough that you were not interested in being a part of that, but separating, and that's what the itching was from. And just to note for anyone else who may be going through any symptoms, tingling as well, numbness, that can happen, also connected to feeling stuck and moving forward. But you've already did it, you resolved it. Those are healing symptoms, not that something is wrong per se. So I just wanted to note that.
Well, thank you. We have to keep being in contact after this. But Rodney, I really do appreciate what you said. I never thought of it that way. I have not given myself my all. That was not an option to this day until you said it. So that was very moving for me to hear. I do resonate with that. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, yeah. So now you have the ability to just live differently. There's so much more for you to give. There's so much more for you to be. You get to decide now. It's not for other people to decide. Now, witnesses they decide how much you can give. Especially as women, right? What if your gift as a woman was leadership? What if that was your gift, to be a leader? Where are you going to express it in that organization? What if your gift was to teach, to be a teacher, to stand in front of people and teach? What if that was your gift? Where are you going to express it in that organization? Right? So I say this especially to women because you were really held down from being in your power. Not everybody even has a calling to be, somebody's wife and have a bunch of kids and, be brother so-and-so's wife. Some people don't have a calling. Some people don't have a calling to have kids, right? That's just not what you want. Everybody's different, and you can craft a life that is in accordance with who you truly are, and allowing yourself to flourish. Like, wow, my God, every possibility is open for me now. How cool is that, right? Yeah. So now you can give yourself your all, and that's a bright light. Witnesses are like the organization is like somebody standing by that wall at the dimmer switch, right? This light's supposed to be bright, and they give a little bit. Just you're not shining nearly as bright you should, and you get to go get away from that. Let me turn that switch off. Stay away from my switch. Get to dim my light at all.
Yeah.
Take that switch, put it all the way up. Bring your brightness. Next, anybody else? You got some time?
I appreciate what you said, Rodney, because, my light was, and I'm sure for many others, it was quite dim, because when I even think about how I went with the ministry when I was in an organization, I went about it differently. And I even came up with a name with myself. I called it Creative Ministry. And, I would go to school during the lunch with the kids that I met in the Kingdom Hall and have lunch with them. And I had some other projects, was joining the volunteer, like Big Sister, Big Brother programs, just kind of like slowly inadvertently, but mostly more for contributing to their well-being. And, what I also used to do was I used to go to the bus stop and I just be there all day. And people know that you're there all day because always a different load of people going
right
on and off the bus, and I was just going there just to have conversation with them, not necessarily to preach at them, but just to see what common ground. I always like to hear other people's viewpoint and then kind of take it, from there. I didn't necessarily feel productive if I placed something. I didn't have to place something, and, now I think I got that from my mom, because she will always have us visit older ones, and we had to sit and listen to them, and we learn from that way. You
Here's the
know,
thing I see in what you're saying. Even as a witness, it couldn't hold you back. You had your own way of doing things. You had your own.
I was in my own
You're like,
world.
just going out preaching, knocking on empty doors for 2 hours makes no sense. I'm gonna
Right.
go. Here's people actually coming off the bus. People actually at the bus stop. Right. A typical witness will knock on doors for 2 hours. Nobody's home. The 3, 4, 5 people that were home are hiding from you. Then you go to Starbucks or 7-Eleven for a break. People everywhere. You don't talk to one of them. I'm on break. You don't talk to one person. Were you really trying to accomplish something, or were you just doing your duties as a
Very
Jehovah's?
happy with it, eating processed food for lunch and getting big and big and bigger, 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 bigger. So
You got your own mind. Now you get to use it to your benefit. Create what you want, share your gifts and talents, live in your bigness, add value to the lives of others the way you see fit, and you get to be uniquely Janelle. And that's the way everybody's supposed to be. This preaching nonsense, just doing everything by rote, nonsense. Like, so if somebody hates talking to strangers at their home, then you shouldn't do it.
Exactly.
You don't like it, don't do it. You're going to have your own way of doing that work. You're going to have your own way of connecting with people the way you're wired to do that. And but that's control. That's what the religion uses, is control. Be sheep, like, oh, move together and do the same things. No, you need to be uniquely you in whatever you do.
And I like what you said about
you are never going to stay in that religion. There's too much Janelle trying to pop out. There's too much Janelle. You're like a Coke can. You just shake the can, it's trying to come out somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Right?
And I like how that principle, applies for everybody. Giving it your all, you deserve it. It dignifies you. And earlier when I was beginning with my story, I was saying if it fails, you gave it your best, you can move on. But when someone gives it their all to themselves, you can't fail.
Can't fail. Can't fail. I love it. Okay, Christine.
I was gonna say, just listening to Janelle's story, what comes up is like just a reminder of how brave and how far you have come, right? Looking at the brave things to even just move away from what the family ideals are and the way, just the way of the family, but to really look at how far people have come or in their own situation to it's not all doom and gloom. Like, I just see there's so much opportunity, whether, you choose to still believe or you're creating your own or what resonates for you. There's so much opportunity.
Oh, yeah. It'll be fun watching you, Janelle. Janelle, tell Christine how long you've been out.
2 years. In December, it'll be 2 years.
Look how far she's come in that amount of time, right? Yeah. Incredible. But we're coming up on our time anyway. But that was a great, great show. Love it. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead. In the text part of this is a link to our Facebook group. If you're not in our Facebook group, go ahead and join it, because we got so much good info there, my friends. Everyone have a great Sunday fun day. Do something fun. Take care of yourself. Be good to yourself. And we shall see you next week.